Today, on Scotty and Rico Make a Podcast.
I wouldn't say so much that we're helping bands get out there to play. The bands are helping us get out of the house on a Wednesday night.
We have the problem where we'll see 2 or 3 shows happening on the same night. We're like, how do we choose which one to go to?
But for the most part, we don't want to work with venues that aren't supporting the artists, because these are people that are working day jobs, then getting off of work, and then driving, setting up all the equipment, and putting their hearts and souls out there on stage, and you deserve to receive some benefit for that, at least free drinks.
And with you guys, you were that bridge. Like, you are that bridge that it's like, okay, we're cool with them, so we'll talk to you now.
You guys should do something like if a band needs let's say a bass player, you have the band on one side and then line up a bunch of bass players where they can't see them. Like a dating game thing.
Oh, like the dating game, yeah.
Welcome to episode 16, Garage to Nowhere.
All right.
In this episode, we have our good friends, Jodi and Justin.
Very, very good friends. They've been very supportive of our podcast. They're not only friends, but they're also listeners.
That's right.
Because they know everything. Every time I get together with them, they are like, yeah, I already know this story. I heard it on the podcast, so
yeah, they
don't overtell your story.
Actually, they know our facts better than we know our facts.
They call me out all the time. You're lying. You said it on.
That's right. So we sit down with them. We have a great interview and get to know them and what they do to support the South Florida scene.
They are big supporters of the South Florida scene. I love what they're doing. I think that they're one of the people that really give everybody a chance to play. They build a family around themselves of musicians that we all know each other at this point.
It's a big theme that comes out.
Right. Yeah, and just all their shows, we just all become really good friends. There's this like camaraderie with all the musicians. Justin and Jodi are really good at introducing everybody. They're always like we kind of talk about it in the podcast. They're like the parents that put together the kids.
That's right.
Go play now. Go do your thing.
That's right. And if you come to any of their shows, they're awesome to hang out with. So you can easily walk up to them and say hi.
Yeah, if you see a guy with a beard and hat, you know that's Justin.
That's his look. All right, and then also at the end of the podcast, we have the band Killed by Florida, a band that I played with in the past, and a good group of guys.
Yeah, and like I mentioned in the podcast, I saw them play not that long ago, and they were freaking amazing. They had the whole crowd going.
Yep.
Really, really impressive guys, and a lot of energy, a lot of stage presence.
Yes. Yeah, when they're on stage and they're playing, you can't pay attention to anything else.
Right, you'll be sucked in, you'll be moshing.
That's right. So just a little background about these guys. They're a group of friends that got together about having fun, playing music, not really sticking to any one genre. I mean, if you ask them what their music sounds like, they'll just tell you it's like a punk with metal and thrash influences. They told me that the influences they're influenced by are like Slayer, Anthrax, The Misfits, Minor Threat, Dead Kennedys, Black Flag, and you'll hear some 80s hardcore punk in there, which is actually where they got their band name from.
I always wonder what their band name was from. I don't know. You're going to tell us now, I'm sure. But
yeah, I found out. I didn't know,
okay,
but there's an LP that came out, an album, an actual vinyl that came out, and it was all Florida punk rock bands.
Right.
And the name of the LP was Killed by Florida. And it was like all these bands from 78 to 85.
Cool.
And actually, track 6 is by this band called F, which is the lead singer. This guy's Phil, is friends with Killed by Florida, and they're like, hey, you should use this for your band name.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool band name. I mean, growing up in Florida, and we know that Florida is one of the places that has the most dangerous things in the States. We are the Australia of this
country.
Yeah, we got spiders, gators, and crazy people everywhere.
The Florida man.
The Florida man.
That's right. So right now the band's current lineup is Jammer on vocals, Kristen on bass, Ian and Mike on guitars, and Brian on drums.
I had the pleasure of meeting Jammer at Justin and Jodi's housewarming party. Really, really cool guy, really down to earth, and it's so funny seeing him, like meeting him in person, then seeing him on stage, the energy and the raw, and then just like really cool, laid back kind of guy when you meet him. So it was really funny.
That's awesome. And in the podcast, you talk about how important it is for musicians to come out and support other bands, even if they're not playing.
Right.
Well, Mike, when I used to play in the Haight-Ashbury, almost all the time, and I'd see Mike come out to my shows and support us.
Right. That's so awesome. That's really cool when you see people just come out. It's not your night, but you're going to come out and make sure that you keep the local scene on. You just don't, just wait for your turn. You go out and support other bands.
That's right. Make sure to listen to the song at the end of the podcast. And up next, we got Jodi and Justin from Garage to Nowhere.
We were actually having podcast conversations on the way down here anyway.
Oh, yeah, we were.
We had some pretty intense conversations and debates on the
debate?
way. Yeah.
You guys get into a scratch fight or anything?
There was words thrown.
So what was
Jodi
the
can
debate?
get pretty aggressive.
Yeah, I didn't know that side of her.
Man. You gotta...
What were you guys arguing? What was the topic? The main?
No, we weren't arguing
No,
at all.
there was no argument. We were just talking about local music.
Local music. We were talking about the etiquette stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said I don't see a lot of bands show up to other people's shows. Not very often. There's been a couple of times. But we go to other people's show all the time, and to support other.
Well, because we're not in bands, so every show we go to is another.
Wait. When I was in Idiots on the Moon,
okay,
I showed up.
You would.
I showed up. I met most bands by going and see them rather than being at the shows, and then eventually it was like, oh, we played together that one time, and blah 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 blah. But it was a lot of just getting to know.
I think you, Sergio, and Claudio would always be at somebody's show, right? And if they were local or whatever.
Well, that's how I met Claudio, and then eventually this guy.
Yeah,
but
we just showed up at the Garage Nowhere shows and events.
And then Claudio slipped me a CD, and I told him number 4 is my favorite. And then he hits me up. He's like, "Be in the video. It's your favorite song." And I was like, "All right, I would love to be in the video."
That's awesome.
And then I tried talking to Rico outside because Claudio would ask me to host the show, and Rico was just sitting there by himself, being very standoffish, and I was like, did Claudio not tell him that I was going to be hosting the show? Does he hate me?
After a couple of drinks, Justin told me that I was a total dick to him at the show.
He was so mean. I didn't.
It was like he came over.
I was super excited. I was giving him daps and high fives, and then I just put my tail between my legs and left the venue.
It's funny because the next time that we hung out, that we actually hung out, we became super best friends. You do this and you do that. We do the same thing, and you blah blah blah. We're best friends, and we're
we did karate in the garage.
Yeah, we were can we build bunk beds? And so we can do activities. We just became best friends, and then he
I wouldn't
we
say
had
best
a couple.
Friends, but
oh well, you were all emotional.
It just got a little awkward right now.
I get emotional.
He was all emotional, and then we had a couple of drinks, and then he goes, "There's something I gotta get off my chest. It's just been eating at me. You're a total dick to me the other day. You're a total dick to me in that show." And it was true, because I don't remember being a dick, but I was super nervous because we're recording this
at the
video.
And Abner, the guitar player, didn't bring his amp. And a lot of things were not going according to plan. And it was you're nervous and everybody's there, family members and everything. So I think he just came to me at a time where I was thinking a million other things.
I'm hearing that, but that's cool. We'll let him flow with this.
Yeah. This is how I.
Okay, I can attest to his nervousness before shows. One of our first shows was actually at the dive bar.
Oh, that's right.
We were playing.
Was that the Yetis?
No, this was probably Unit 6.
Yeah, no, we were Red Light Zion.
I don't think we were Red Light Zion yet.
How many bands have you guys been in together?
We have known each other.
The same band. We just keep changing the name of the band.
So Rico and Scotty make a band.
But before we could play, it was a 3-piece. It was Rico, myself, and our friend Adam. And we were so nervous, I had to go to Walgreens next door and get Pepto. Because our stomachs were so bad.
You were never nervous. He was never nervous. Me and Adam would have to go to the bathroom, throw up, just I think I'm gonna poop my pants.
Yeah,
he was always cool, collected, and we were dying.
He was doing that for you guys.
He was our rock. He was
one
our
show
rock.
at Dive Bar where I was I had to go to the bathroom a lot because I was nervous at this show. Any other show, yeah, he's right. I never get nervous. I'm always just excited about playing. But there's one show where I'm I kept going to the bathroom over and over. I had to go next door and get some Pepto. I was I got to stop this.
What was it about that show, though?
I can't remember. I think I was excited about the venue and just be all right, we got to make this good.
There was a stripper pole back then at the dive bar.
Yeah,
and he just got really excited and he got a little nervous.
I know what that means.
Yeah. He was all right, it's go time.
I did play at a place that it was the Rock Bar or something like this.
American Rock?
Not American Rock Bar, but something. Maybe it was American Rock Bar, but I just remember it was a giant. No, it wasn't American Rock Bar. It was someplace up in Lake Worth, and they had this giant stage that they had stripper poles on it and everything. And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome!" But then you're up there, and it's like, it's I don't want to touch it. It's gross.
Germs.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was how I was a dick to him. So that's.
Are we bringing it back to that? Like,
Yeah,
I thought we moved
wrap it
on.
around.
Like,
No, I'm not
right.
letting it go.
I got a Band-Aid for you.
So this is a good point to introduce you guys. We've got Jodi and Justin from Garage to Nowhere, and you guys are promoters. I see you guys take photographs, and you guys are really involved in the music scene, helping bands to get out there and play.
I wouldn't say so much that we're helping bands get out there to play. Like, bands are helping us get out of the house on a Wednesday night. So much of what we do, like, bands come up and they say thank you, and it's like, but you don't understand, like, thank you. Like, I'm having so much fun. This counts as date night.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
My favorite, we went out last night to Dive Bar, and we hung out with your show, and you had some bands, and my favorite part of the show is you getting on stage and saying to everybody, hey, we're family. We're here to have a good time. We're all family, and this is great. And I thought that was fantastic. And it's like, oh, I get it. It's really cool.
Yeah, because it's been ever since I've been going to the shows is about building the community of everybody getting to know each other. And just since we were just talking about this in the car,
we were.
that guys are both really good introducing the bands so that they become friends. Because it's almost like when you bring two kids to play that they don't know each other. It's like,
play date.
yeah, it's like you're bringing two little kids and they're like, well, I play too, and then he gets the conversation going and.
Yeah, and that's my favorite part about this is when we get bands together that haven't played together before, and then they start talking and they're networking with each other and getting each other on other shows, and like now they're all friends, and it's like, oh, you guys met at one of our shows. That's awesome.
We're kind of like band matchmakers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Matchmaker, make me a match.
I think it would be awesome. Like, you guys should do something like if a band needs let's say a bass player, you have the band on one side and then line up a bunch of bass players where they can't see them. Like a dating game thing.
Like the dating game, yeah. I did want to create an OkCupid thing for bands.
Right. That'd be perfect because Craigslist sucks. And
Well, actually, this would be a good time to mention Sweatpants in Public needs a drummer. So
yeah, that's right.
Is anybody out there listening?
So who should they hit up if there's a drummer out there?
Sweatpants in Public on Facebook.
Okay.
The lead singer's name is Jerry. Or you can also hit us up at Garage to Nowhere. Jodi and I are technically their managers, I think.
So what kind of music is Sweatpants?
The best rock reggae that's out there in South Florida right now. So
nice.
They it's like Sublime, but it's got a little bit more of that classic rock influence. So it kind of.
He's got a smooth voice from what you showed me. Like he's got a very smooth singy song.
Super smooth.
Super smooth. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. I would drum for them, but I'm not a good drummer, so that's my biggest obstacle.
That's one of those things. Yeah. Drumming well and to be a drummer, yes.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some bands. That's not necessarily true, but
that's not always a requirement for a band.
Right. So how did you guys get your start where you're like, I'm going to do this promoting and do this whole...
Oh, it's long.
As we
it's a
sigh.
love story. It's a love story.
Wow.
We're going to take you back.
All I remember is back when we went, the first thing I remember was going to see the Slackers. But that got us out to see bands. And I used to always go see local bands. I always loved to just go out and, I didn't really talk to them and take photos and promote anything, but I always loved supporting local music. And I knew a lot of local bands from seeing them live.
Yeah.
And so, when we started dating, I just kept saying, I want to go to this show. You go with me? Will you go with me? And then eventually we started going together and brought the camera. And
yeah.
Well, she like she was saying, like was always excited about that kind of stuff, and I've been down here for almost 10 years, coming down from New Hampshire, and I was one of those people that sits back and is like, the scene is dead.
Right.
Like, there is no local
You're
music.
one of those guys.
You have to know where to look.
And
it's funny. Yeah.
She's great at finding events, shows,
Right.
like anything that's happening in South Florida. She knows about it. And I'm just like, baby, what are we doing this weekend?
And I have a list of things we could do this or this or this.
And that's funny because we were just we were talking about Facebook and people doing that kind of thing, and I don't get it either because I've always been going to shows. I always hit Scotty up. I'm going to this show just in case he can go, and sometimes I'll hit him up, pick him up, and go on. There's tons of shows out there and scenes, and I see everybody complaining and like all the time on Facebook. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm there.
We have
Where
the
are
problem
you?
where we'll see 2 or 3 shows happening on the same night. We're like, how do we choose which
Right.
one to go
Yeah,
to?
it's tough.
Like next Friday, we're super excited about a bunch of shows that are going on. You know, there's one at O'Malley's and there's one at Propaganda, and it's like, do we want to drive to O'Malley's or do we want to stay closer to home? Like, and we're friends with bands that are playing at both shows, and it's like we want to be there to support them. And we were super upset the first Enslave the Robot show that we missed, because for the first year,
we went to
every
show.
single show that they played.